All right, we are here in the midst of the worst housing affordability crisis this city has ever faced. Average rents on market rate apartments in Manhattan are now over $5,000 a month. This is unprecedented. It is a disaster for low-income New Yorkers, for working class and even middle class New Yorkers. And when affordable housing does come online, and every unit is precious, we are now seeing 500 applicants per apartment, sometimes 1,000 applicants per apartment at new affordable housing in Manhattan and citywide. There is no getting around the fact we desperately, urgently need to build more affordable housing. And we are here today to talk about a plan that would do that in every neighborhood of this borough, every dense residential neighborhood of this city. This is a plan known as Universal Affordability Preference that is very simple. It would tell developers, if you're going to build in a dense residential area, we're going to let you build some more, 20%, as long as every square inch of that additional density is used for affordable housing and only affordable housing. This would not be dramatic in any one neighborhood. It would put a little bit of additional affordable housing in every neighborhood. But what it would add up to is potentially tens of thousands of units of affordable housing that we would not otherwise have. Now, yes, you can applaud for that. That's a big deal. Thank you to the whistler who got that going in the back there. This is a component of the broader plan that city planning has put forward to change zoning, to create more affordable housing. There are many components to what city planning has proposed. But we're here today because we're Manhattanites, and this is a proposal that would have a very important and, in our opinion, positive impact on Manhattan, on affordability, on the lives of thousands of Manhattan and New York City families. So I am thrilled by this lineup here. I'm going to ask first for our city representatives. We're going to be leading the fight in the council on this to speak. First up, will you join me in giving a big round of applause to Keith Powers, council member from the East Side.
Thank you. First of all, I want to give a very, very big shout out to the borough president, Mark Levine, who is demonstrating what it means to lead from the front. Last year, he did a state of the borough, I guess it would be called, speech that didn't just say we need to build more housing, talked about sites where it could be built and put skin in the game to help accelerate those processes when it's happening. That is called leadership. So I want to give him another big round of applause for identifying the crisis, but not pointing at it, but saying, what can I do about it? That is what we're doing. And it's so great to see city and state colleagues who also understand that challenge, because in Albany and in New York City right now, this is a very, very big year for housing, for building the supply of housing that we need, for protecting tenants, for making sure that people who want to live here in the greatest city on earth have that opportunity. And right now, we consistently shut down opportunities for more housing. We don't take advantage of the opportunities that exist before us. So what we're essentially telling people is, this is the best city. We live here. We want to let people live here, except there aren't opportunities to do that. And I think we should be uplifting New York City and celebrating the greatness of this city by giving more people an opportunity to live here. And so that's why we're here. And Manhattan is without question going to be one of the places that's going to need to lead on this issue. But we are going to have issues throughout the city that are going to require people to step forward and say, yes, in my neighborhood, yes, in my backyard, yes, in New York City, to celebrate the diversity and opportunity. And that's why we are here, because we know this piece of the puzzle is going to be a big part of what Manhattan's part of the puzzle is going to be. And it's heartening to see elected officials and advocates and people stepping forward to understand this crisis. My team just went out to Street Easy and looked at a one-bedroom apartment, and yes, the median average is at $5,000 now. But we took the number 2,500, but used to feel like a reasonable amount to pay for a 1-bedroom. There's only 6 in my district that you can pay that. And I think I'm surprised there's 6, to be honest.
Amazing.
And they are not 1-bedrooms, my friends. They are closets.
Yeah.
Look, we have a big challenge ahead, but we're here early to say we are ready to fight for housing this year in Albany, and I'm thankful for my Albany colleagues for being here in New York City. And now we are going to say yes to housing, and we're going to say yes to affordable housing, and we are going to say yes to giving more new people an opportunity to be New Yorkers and to live out that dream here. So thank you to Borough President, everyone for being here.
Thank you, Powers. Next up, City Council Member Eric Botcher. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Borough President Levine, for your leadership and bringing us all here today, and for your leadership on housing all the time. Arguably the most important and pressing issue facing New York right now. There is a wildfire just raging across New York City, and it's burning through every neighborhood in New York City, and that is the dramatic increase in rents and the dramatic increase in housing prices. And this is a direct result of our city's failure to plan for population growth. The math is very, very simple. We had, between 2010 and 2020, a net population gain of over 630,000. That's the population of Detroit coming to New York over 10 years. We only added just over 200,000 units of housing. What's going to happen in the next 10 years? They anticipate another 600,000 plus net population gain. Last year, we only generated 11,000 units of housing. So you don't have to have a fancy degree to know what's going to happen in New York. The New York that we know is slipping through our fingers. It is slipping away. The New York that I knew when I moved here in 2001, no job lined up, few $100. I knew I could just figure it out, find a job, find a place to live. I lived on someone's futon in Hell's Kitchen until I got a place. You could get a studio for $1,500. That's not true anymore. This is one of those unusual circumstances where we as lawmakers have it in our hands to actually fix this problem. We in the city council can do it. The state legislature can do it. The question is, will we do it? And here we have a set of proposals on the table to address this problem head on. And one of them is this Universal Affordability Preference that says to folks who are building a building, you could build 20% more if all of that 20% is affordable housing. 100% affordable housing on top of what you're building. Now, the problem is folks don't like when buildings are 20% bigger. Folks want them to be 20% smaller. 50% smaller. But folks, if you have secure housing, if you have affordable housing, I beg you to think about the hundreds of thousands of people living in the shelters, the hundreds of thousands of people who are one rent renewal away from having to leave New York City. Think about the environment, the climate, because the population of Earth is exponentially increasing. And if folks aren't living here and in cities, we're paving over farmland, we're paving over natural habitat. Let's step up and do the right thing. Shame on us if we don't, because future generations are going to look back at us as the leaders who failed. We cannot let that happen. All the folks, all the leaders you see here, we're going to step up and do the right thing for New York.
All right. Way to go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I am elated that we have not one, not two, but three housing champions representing us in Albany, where there's a big fight ahead. And I first want to call up my friend, State Senator Brad Hoylman-Siegel.
Thank you.
Come on up.
Thank you. Thank you, Borough President. I've heard of UAPs. Until today, they were unidentified aerial phenomena. But we have stolen back the acronym from
We're taking it back.
from those who believe in the UFOs and such. But I just want to say thank you, Borough President, for this important initiative. To build 20% affordable on new developments is going to be a game changer for Manhattan. And it's no coincidence that you have a lot of West Siders here, Borough President, because we know on the west side of Manhattan that our constituents are being squeezed out. We know on the west side of Manhattan that it's harder to find young people who can afford to live in our district. And we know that in Manhattan on the west side, that this is a matter of being humanitarian toward our unhoused fellow New Yorkers, but it's also important to our economy, because if New York City can no longer attract young people, we will no longer lead the nation in so many industries. So I want to thank you for this initiative. I want to say that we in Albany have to do our part. And if Albany can't do it, then we need to get out of the way. We need to get out of the way and allow City Hall, City Council, and city planning to do the work that is so necessary to secure the future of the city and state. So I pledge to you, Borough President, that we're going to work hand in glove with you as we try to get housing across the finish line in Albany, that we try to protect renters who currently live in affordable housing, and that we make certain that the new housing has the labor protections that all New Yorkers expect. So thank you very much. Look forward to getting this done.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Senator. Yes, the West Side's out here today, but so is the East Side, and we love you guys for that. Please join me in welcoming Assemblymember Alex Boris. All right.
Thank you. I'm Assemblymember Alex Boris in the 73rd District, Upper East Side, Midtown East. I want to thank the Borough President for gathering us today and showing his strong support for these initiatives. You know, we were just saying how even a few years ago, you wouldn't see many electeds showing up to a pro-housing. You wouldn't see many advocates showing up to it. But there's fewer and fewer NIMBYs every day, fewer and fewer not in my backyards in Manhattan, and not only because there are no more backyards in Manhattan. People are realizing that we desperately need more housing. They are themselves maybe trying to downsize after the kids move out and realizing they'd have to move very far away to do that. They're seeing their children who want to establish their families, and they can't do it anywhere nearby where they grew up. They're seeing new friends who want to move here but think, oh, it's far too expensive to do it. And then instead they see their kids, they see their friends move to New Jersey and develop awful taste in bagels and awful taste in hockey teams. We don't want that to happen. We want there to be more New Yorkers. And the only way that happens is by having every neighborhood, every part of the city do their part to grow a little bit more housing. And that's exactly what this proposal will do. 20% more, fully affordable, and if you commit to that, we can actually continue to house not just the New Yorkers that live here, but the growth of New York City over time. So don't believe the naysayers that say no one wants to live here. The proof is in the rents. People want to live here, and we need to build the housing to enable that. And one more point, which is not the point of building housing, but I think everyone needs to remember this. We're coming into a difficult budget year for both the city and the state. And if you're worried about taxes going up or services being cut, we have a silver bullet for the budget, and that's building more housing. Building more housing makes construction jobs, it makes demand for the businesses that are in the city, the units themselves are taxed, and then the people that live there pay income tax. So the only way to continue to grow the city, if you're worried about what's coming in the budget, join the fight for more housing. Thank you.
Wow. All right. I hope somebody's recording these statements, because every one of my colleagues has spoke eloquently and powerfully. No pressure, Assembly Member, but you got some tough acts to follow. I know you can do it. Join me in welcoming Assembly Member Tony Simone.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mark. Those are very tough acts to follow, but I want to credit the Borough President, Mark Levine, for being a leader on this. Like others have said before, he's actually had specific solutions, specific sites on creating affordable housing. And I love the affordability preference plan, adding 20% if you build all affordable units, creating just a little bit higher buildings, which is okay by me. But listen, this is an old problem, but we're at a crisis now. Years ago, decades ago, my parents were priced out of this city by terrible landlords, but also they couldn't afford the rent. And now it's 9,000 times worse. It's the first thing I hear from my constituents when I was running, and I still hear it. They can't afford to live and work in the same district. They can't live and work in the same state. Look, there are plenty of other places to live, but everyone wants to live in New York, hence the popularity and the rents. It's supply and demand. It's not rocket science. And yes, as others have said before, there's always going to be naysayers and fearmongers. People don't like change. We're not asking to change the character of neighborhoods. We're saying to build just enough units in every place in the state to make the affordable crisis problem go away. And it's solvable. But the reason why we haven't done it sooner is because there hasn't been political will. But now you're starting to see the political will. Thank you to the advocates are here and the electeds, but we need more electeds here. We need more people to sign on. And we do need tenant protections. We do need good cause. It's going to be tough to get it through Albany, I'll be honest, without it. We need both. We need supply and we need to protect the tenants who are living here now. Listen, the city of yes, we also need the state of yes. Enough with the bull crap and scaring each other and saying that, oh, we're not getting enough affordability. When we got rid of the subsidy, and we didn't all love 421A, we didn't get as much as we wanted. But we got some affordability, and we need to make sure the next model that we pass in Albany, no matter how we do it, creates even more affordability this time. And look, it solves other problems. The public safety problem, the business problem. If you create work-live communities in the garment district, like the borough president mentioned, if you create work-live communities in so many parts of this city that are barren now after dark, you create safety. You create new communities. We should be welcoming all New Yorkers. Supportive housing, middle-income housing. We need to create a New York for everyone and get to work now.
All right. Woo. Tony Simone delivered. Never doubted you for a minute. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to hear from our amazing advocates in just 1 minute, but we do have some Spanish language networks here. So, brevemente en español, yo soy Mark Levine, presidente del Condado de Manhattan. Estamos aquí en medio de una crisis de escasez de vivienda asequible que no se ha visto en la historia de Nueva York. Con alquileres de un promedio de $5,000 en el Condado de Manhattan, o sea, es para una familia humilde imposible. Venimos aquí a exigir que se construya más vivienda asequible con un plan que es muy sencillo, una reclasificación de terreno que haría lo siguiente, añadiría 20% más espacio en todo edificio nuevo en Nueva York y cada pulgada de ese espacio adicional para vivienda asequible. Así que crearía a través de los 5 condados decenas de miles de apartamentos nuevos, todos asequibles. Así que venimos aquí, coaliciones de oficiales electos y activistas para exigir que Nueva York actúe enfrentando a esta crisis. All right, now, I don't know what language he's going to speak, but Brendan Cheney, you're up, come on up. New York Housing Conference. Thank you so much.
Hi everybody, thank you. My name is Brendan Cheney. I'm the Director of Policy and Operations at the New York Housing Conference. Thank you, Borough President Levine. Thank you for your leadership on housing. We really appreciate all of the ways you're helping to fight the crisis and adding more housing. Thank you to the city council members and state legislators that are here. Thank you for your partnership and your housing leadership. We are in a desperate housing crisis. Nearly 1 million households in New York City are rent burdened. Nearly 600,000 are severely rent burdened. And 88,000 people experienced homelessness on a single night last year. We need more affordable housing. We also need more policies to fight for fair housing. Data from our New York City Housing Tracker shows that housing is not built equitably across the city, and many neighborhoods continue to limit or block new housing. Between 2014 and 2022, 16 council districts produced more than 2,000 units of new affordable housing, mostly in neighborhoods in the South Bronx, Central Brooklyn, East River Waterfront in Brooklyn and Queens, and Southeast Queens. Meanwhile, 17 districts produced fewer than 400 units over that time, with 9 districts producing fewer than 200 units over that time. The solution is to build more housing and more affordable housing in every neighborhood. The Universal Affordability Preference is smart housing policy. It gives a density bonus for affordable housing. We should be allowing more affordable housing everywhere it's being planned. We've been fighting for more housing funding to support more affordable housing, and while we've seen significant increases, we need the zoning tools to support adding new affordable housing. This policy is part of the solution. This change and the others proposed in the City of Yes for Housing Opportunity are for young people joining the workforce who are priced out, it's for families with too few options, and it's for older New Yorkers that want to stay and live in New York. Every community and every council member should be saying yes to housing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Brendan Cheney. We appreciate it. Next up is a celebrity in the world of housing advocacy, Anne-Marie Gray from Open New York. Come on up.
Thank you, Borough President, and thank you all for being here. It's extremely exciting. You really would not have seen this a couple years ago. I'm Anne-Marie Gray. I run Open New York. We're the city and state's leading grassroots pro-housing advocacy organization. What's really, really exciting is, this is a problem that is, one, existential for the future of New York City, for climate, for equity, for racial justice, for basically any single issue that you name. It is also something where you desperately need to see elected officials at every single level of government leading, especially starting with the places that are the best located, that have actually on net been losing housing units in recent years, and represent some of the most well-resourced, wealthiest parts of the city. You need to see representatives from those places leading the fight, and it's really exciting. You're seeing increasing numbers, and everyone behind me is representing that in Manhattan. So we're really excited about the City of Yes proposal. We need every single tool in the toolbox, and we absolutely need them in every single neighborhood, especially the places that have some of the most exclusionary and outdated zoning patterns, like many parts of Manhattan. So we're really excited about this, about the Universal Affordability Preference portion of this proposal, and we need to pass as much as we can this year, and we need to do that every single year for the foreseeable future. This problem is not a one-year fix. It is not going to go right away, and we need every single level of government throwing everything they have at it, and we represent the constituents who are struggling to live here and struggling to afford to stay here, and want the city to stay the unbelievable place that it is to live, and we're glad to see our representatives increasingly representing that. So,
Yeah, thank you. All right, next up we have from the Regional Plan Association, a true policy powerhouse, Sophie Capello. Come on up. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sophie Capello, representing Regional Plan Association, and thank you so much, Borough President, for having us here today. The proposed City of Yes for Housing Opportunity zoning text amendment is the most ambitious land use proposal the city has seen in decades. The proposal closely aligns with the solutions that RPA has been actively researching and advocating for years, including the expansion of inclusionary zoning. The proposed UAP framework is directly aligned with a recommendation that RPA put forth in our 4th Regional Plan in 2017, which calls for expanding inclusionary zoning rules to incentivize or require building more affordable housing across more communities. This will play a critical role in creating more mixed-income housing and neighborhoods. New York City currently requires affordable homes as part of every new housing development, but only in a few parts of the city. The UAP component would increase the floor area ratio for all forms of affordable housing in medium and high-density neighborhoods, thereby expanding inclusionary zoning and increasing the amount of affordable homes across more neighborhoods in the city. We all know that this is desperately needed. We need more housing now. We really need it yesterday, and we'll need it tomorrow. And we look forward to working with our partners here to pass this zoning text amendment. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sophie. I think, unless Megan is still here, I think we've gone through. Oh, Megan? You're still here. I didn't see you.
I know, it's the short
Eric, no, it's not your fault. Eric Botcher is entirely too tall. He's too tall. Okay. Proper introduction. Megan Wiley from the New York Building Congress. All right.
Thank you, VP. Thank you so much, Borough President Levine, for convening this important press conference today. I'm Megan Wiley. I'm the Director of Government Relations with the New York City Building Congress, and on behalf of our 250,000 tradespeople and industry leaders that we represent, we're proud to stand here in support of UAP and the entire City of Yes agenda.
as the BP said, this shouldn't be controversial. We need to make sure that we're not only building housing, but creating responsible living opportunities for the people who work here. This is why we need to be tackling this housing crisis head on, and why we're proud to stand behind UAP and the City of Yes plan fully and with the full support of all of our membership.
All right, thank you, Megan. So you guys heard it here. This is not unidentified aerial phenomena. Universal Affordability Preference. We want to create thousands of affordable units in every neighborhood of this city. And we're going to open it up if there are any questions at this time. Yes?
All right, can you talk to us about how, in initiating this plan as well as existing plans, how folks with certain income levels find out about housing subsidies? Since obviously the vast majority of people cannot afford the current, rental market here, especially Manhattan, but in a lot of other neighborhoods.
Right. So again, this is a key component of what the City Planning Commission has proposed as a zoning text amendment called City of Yes for housing affordability. And it would, as I mentioned, allow for slightly more density. All of that space would be used for affordable units. The exact income targets have not yet been specified, but we are advocating, and I fully expect they will be accessible to New Yorkers of low incomes. And they will run through the city's Housing Connect website, the portal where you can apply for any affordable housing in the city. It will work just like other programs. We'll just have more of it.
And will that help reduce a lot of the waiting lists in like Mitchell-Lama housing and things of that nature?
Well, as I mentioned, we're seeing 500 to 1,000 applications per affordable apartment, at least in projects in Manhattan. So there's massive unmet need. And this would, over time, just add a lot more apartments that people could apply to. Look, honestly, this alone is not going to be enough. We probably need 500,000 additional apartments to meet the housing need in the city. But this is really important. And unlike some other proposals, this is exclusively about creating affordable units. So we have just been joined by my wonderful predecessor and current city council member, Gail Brewer. Welcome, Gail. Would you like to say a couple words? Awesome, come on up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Borough President. I know what the job is like. It's hard.
Yes, you do.
This is an important proposal for a couple of reasons. I think it does hopefully look at the different kinds of neighborhoods in the city of New York. And I want to thank, obviously, not just the city planning, but the speaker for thinking of ways that every single neighborhood has to do its bit. And when I mentioned that, we have some neighborhoods that are overdeveloped, some neighborhoods that are underdeveloped, we have to figure out for each neighborhood what is the right mixture. I can say for the west side of Manhattan, we have very few sites, but we have single room occupancies where nonprofits could in fact purchase and make available that kind of housing that used to exist and that provided affordable housing. And we have many buildings that get built that are 100% luxury. And for God's sake, we should find a way that they should be a mixture of both market and affordable. This is the kind of thinking that I hope this City of Yes is considering. And I think that as we go forward, looking at the ways that haven't worked in the past, something very new. We don't have garages and we don't have backyards, but we certainly have buildings that could be converted. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Brewer. All right, I think that's it. Oh, yes.
If I remember last year, killing the raising the car density cap, whatever, that was killed by, I believe, your fellow Manhattan legislators who didn't want it. What's going to be different this time? Is there opposition from fellow Manhattan legislators? And are they working against this? Are you working them?
Yeah, well, of course, we're talking about the city zoning change here, so a little bit of a different issue. I'm on record saying we should lift the 12 FAR cap. I don't know if any of my state colleagues want to speak on this topic. I'm certainly hopeful that as part of a grand bargain in Albany this year, that we can get that cap lifted for Manhattan, and I see the senator nodding and the assembly members. So I'm optimistic if they are. All right. If you guys want to say anything, you can. Or did we cover it? Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
there's definitely not everyone for or raising the FAR cap. We need to convince our colleagues. If it's connected to affordability and our overall plan and a compromise, I think we can get it through. That said, Albany moves slow, but look, it's ridiculous you can convert an office building with FAR and build another tall office building that we don't even need, but you can't build affordable housing by raising the FAR. So I think it's going to have to be a compromise, and it can't be just a broad FAR cap raise for the entire state and city. Some neighborhoods don't need it. Where I live in Hell's Kitchen, Hudson Yards, there are tall towers I stare at with empty offices. Some of those should be affordable housing units. Some of them shouldn't just be oligarchs who park their wealth on the 100th floor. We should be able to create affordable housing by raising the FAR cap in certain neighborhoods. It doesn't work in every neighborhood. So some of my legislators are correct. So it has to be very specific if we are to raise the cap.
All right, very good. Okay. I think we got it. Thank you all very much.
Guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.